Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Let's get dangerous.
And welcome to another Thursday. I hope that we finally get some semblance of a brand new intro where we don't have to worry about popping in first and then running something else. Go right into the show here. Just for everybody to know, we got I'm Joe. There's Eric. There's Clyde. Elaine is somewhere in the ether. She should be here shortly. I'm assuming here.
She's Ether Lane tonight.
Ether Lane.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that's going on here. We're going to stay away from the politics, but I will tell you, I did watch two things of interest here over this past week. I saw Beverly Hills Cop Axel F.
Ooh.
I would say it was a good blast from the past type movie. I won't say it was good or bad, but it was a good blast from the past. I
Better than 3.
Yes, it's better than Axel Fox. It's better than him because at the end hearing his own cartoon character Axel Fox and the whole thing about the amusement park. But it brought back a lot of the characters that we knew from 1 and 2 and talked about his family, especially his daughter.
Yeah.
So, there she is. There she is.
Hey.
Yep.
Hi, Elaine.
So I watched that, and then I watched the movie that we shamed because of the simple fact that the main actor should not be talked about. And I felt that movie should have been Impulse instead of the character that they made it. It should have been called Impulse because it would have nothing to do with Mr. Allen.
It wasn't very good.
Oh goodness. The only good thing about that movie was the simple fact that Michael Keaton brought back the Batman that we grew up with in the 90s.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, I liked him being in it, but that was about it. I think. I've kind of blocked out my memory because I went to the theater to see that.
Because I was up here, it's like I was okay with it being
Love
Kara
Keaton's Batman. I thought you were there.
What? We heard her, but she's kind of like choppy there. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Okay. For some, Comcast gave us a new router, and it's being more of a headache than it has been a help. Phones don't stay on. It's just like, okay, I wish there was an office nearby where I could take this router, beat someone in the head with it, and go, maybe if I draw blood, you'll send me tech that works.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I can understand that, but just seeing
The
that,
problem
seeing
is
this.
Comcast is the
I
okay.
think
Hold
she's
on.
going in and out again here. I mean, you were saying
Give me
Comcast
a
did
second.
what? Okay.
Comcast has been they gave us a new router because they were increasing our speed. And I told them before, increasing the speed doesn't mean anything if the router can't handle the demand. And they got up and this time said, "Oh, I guess we need to give you a new router." And it's like, yeah. So they came in, put the new router up, but depending on where you are, the phone won't stick on the router. My laptop comes in and out, and the router is less than 5 feet from where I'm sitting.
Oh wow.
So it's not like I'm in my room. It's like Comcast is the only serious internet for this section. AT&T, UVerse does not come here. A lot of the other places are just 5 seconds above dial-up. So since they know they sort of have, they own the area, they tend to take a sort of laissez-faire attitude towards getting stuff done because they don't have any real competitors here.
If you don't like our service, get somebody else. You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the attitude. Yep.
Yeah.
That's Comcast. It's like and the thing is I miss my AT&T UVerse. I used to have UVerse, and I loved UVerse. When I was on at 61st in Indiana, I had UVerse. When I moved to the north side, I had UVerse. Hardly any hiccups. We had a router that could handle the demand, but for some reason, Comcast just, they don't like me.
Hmm.
But you know what? I got my commission finished. It's all
Yay.
done.
Yay.
Cool.
It's done. It's complete. I'm so happy. If I'm gonna spend the rest of this week just kind of getting back to feeling like a human being. And then I will be splitting my days between getting ready for my housing inspection and getting back on my comic book. Because I only have 15 pages left to go.
Yay.
Yay.
Cool.
What you working on, Eric?
I'm practicing sketching for tonight's show.
Okay.
We are doing a Don Bluth show, so characters of Don Bluth.
Mhm.
Oh, so you got that's a whole gambit of stuff here.
Oh yeah, so I picked one I really like, so that's who I'm going to draw.
Okay.
You can guess if you'd like.
I don't know with you anymore. I don't know. I would not know. I would not know. There's too many characters. Too many.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll say actually one of my favorite Don Bluth movies, one of them, not the most favorite, it would be Anastasia, but I'm not drawing anything from Anastasia.
Yeah.
I'm going older.
Older than Anastasia. Ooh. Secret of Nim. Someone from one of the characters from Secret of Nim.
Ooh. Yeah.
I'm going to
So
draw
what character?
Nicodemus.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Nice.
Did
Yeah,
you
that's what
ever
I'm going.
Did you ever try his game that he did?
In the arcade, yeah, I've wasted plenty of money of not going anywhere. I couldn't get anywhere in those games. Dragon's Lair and Space Ace. I was like, yeah, because you had to time it to, and I never could. And I thought the games were crap.
So
They look
the
pretty,
games were
though.
not crap. The games were not crap. It was always again they arcade owners will always set up the difficulty to like the highest setting. So depending on where you go, you don't get that momentary second flash on where to go to assist you. You just have to know. You have to like watch other people play it to understand when the timing is for all the stuff for Space Ace and Dragon Slayer.
Yeah. I have burned in my head an angry Dirk turning into a skeleton. Going,
It was the only game I ever played where the character dissed you
yep.
because you couldn't get it right. You know, he would fold his arms and it's like, well, it's a good thing you can't come out that screen, dude.
And I think it was like one of the first games too that I recall. Everything else was still a quarter at that time, except that game.
Yeah.
It was like 50 cents.
50 cents. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. Okay, I can do it. No, let me try again. Time to go home. You're out of money, kid.
Mm-hmm.
$30.
Let me go back to Joust.
I once spent $30 trying to play that game,
Oh,
and it was like, oh my goodness. It was like, okay, I put in $30 and I haven't even got past the first level.
Wow.
Yep.
It's like, I am so done.
They were beautiful games, but there's just I just
Yeah.
never could get anywhere with them. So
Time Warp was hard. That was a hard game.
mm,
That was the
Did you
second. That was the second Dragon's Lair, where you were going through time.
yeah.
And how'd you do?
Well, until it came to like a computer or the home system, at the arcade, didn't do nothing. But because it came home and we were able to play it at home, I'm able to beat it now. I knew where I was messing up at. So that's how I ended up beating games like Dragon Slayer, Space Ace, and a couple others like that. I like one of their sister games from a different company better than that. That was already established. That was established animation here. The one that I like better than Dragon Slayer and Space Ace was called Cliffhanger. And if you're a Lupin the Third fan, you knew what Cliffhanger was. It was by Stern. And that game, it was a little bit fair, but it was a lot harder. Because you had the joystick where you can move in any direction, but you had two different buttons here. You had like an action button and a jump button. And it would not tell you what you need to do. It would just give you a hint. It's like with certain things, it's like, it would just play and be like, okay. And then at the very bottom of the screen, it may say like, dodge or move or action. And if you don't know which direction and action button or direction or whatever button that you was doing, you mess up. But then again, it also took in consideration of how fast you was doing it too, because sometimes you would not get a clean getaway. You have to play the scene a little bit longer, and that was the first time that I have ever seen that, because it's like the later you get into that game, it gets highly addicting and difficult.
Trying to think. I never owned a game back when I was younger. The closest I came is there is a point at which they've started making those tabletop games that were in the shape of the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought my sister, when I was in the Marines, I bought my sister Ms. Pac-Man as a graduation gift. Yeah, my mother took it over. I think Lisa said she got to play that game for about 3 days. So my mother took a look at it and went, let me see that. She said after that, she'd be like, the only time my mother wasn't playing it was when she was at work, which for Lisa was like, well, that doesn't really do me any good, because when she's at work, I'm at school. So my mother would come in the door and go, okay, where's my game? my sister would go, but that's not your game, Elaine bought it. It's like, who pays the rent? Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the closest I came at the time to owning anything like a video game, because I bought that for her. A friend of mine, when Charles was much younger, gave him his first PlayStation.
Mm.
My mother bought him his first Nintendo, and what did they have on the Nintendo? There was Sonic and Knuckles and the Lion King game. He played that on Nintendo, and then a friend my friend got he upgraded and then gave him his old PS game, his old PlayStation. And so which made him very happy, which made me happy because when he was 12 or so, I beat him 32 times playing Street Fighter. It happened once. It never happened again. But whenever friends and stuff, I was like, I beat him 32 times in Street Fighter. It's like, yeah, he gets it from me.
You're beginning to sound like my one female friend in college. It was a whole bunch of us that would get together, and that's all we do. We would play fighting games. We would go to these different tournaments and play fighting games and everything. So we all got together one time, and the law of averages was in her favor. She beat every last one of us, and she said, "I'm officially retired at this moment."
Well, that's what you do. You beat all the guys. You leave them laying there in a bloody heap going, she's a girl. She's not supposed to even know how to play games. And then it's like, and now I retire undefeated. And you tell them, if you ever want me to cook anything for you, you won't challenge me.
But it was fun. It was fun because it was like one person, she was like, I beat you 3 times that day. It's like, you ain't that good 3 times. But we kind of encourage it. We kind of encourage it because it was a one-off. It was just like one of those days. It's just like, yep, she got him better, and just like, yep. A lot of it just accepted. It's like, yep, you got us that time. The others, it's like, you own the game and I beat you 3 times. I was like, yep, let them have it. So
who's your absolute favorite gameplay character?
What do you mean gameplay character?
Like, do you like Link better than, say, Lara Croft, or who's your favorite character that you like to use in any game?
Oh, and well, I could pretty much say right now I play a lot more fighting games than other games here. So if I'm playing fighting games, if it's in Street Fighter lore, I really don't have a favorite character anymore because I've been jumping around from character to character.
Oh, okay.
Because in the original Street Fighter 2, I was a Chun-Li player. By the time Super Street Fighter 2 came out, I went from Chun-Li to Cammy. From there, we had what was it? Alpha. I really didn't play all that much. So from that and to the Alpha series, it went from Cammy to Rose. To Street Fighter 3, I went from Cammy to Elena. Then Street Fighter 4 was just kind of like a hodgepodge of stuff. So that's like I had like 4 different characters that I played with. Then to 5, I went from playing again people like Cammy and Rose to Laura and Falk. And then in 6, I'm playing Marissa.
Okay. Eric?
I don't know. I mean, I played everything from sports to fighting to racing. Not necessarily my favorite game, but probably my favorite character in a game maybe would be Abe from Abe Odyssey. He walks around, farts, and he's an alien with a big head. And it was a side-scrolling PlayStation game, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Abe's Odyssey. There was 2 of them before they kind of dropped off, and then they were going to do some. There's Munch's Odyssey came out, and then Then a new
It
one
was
came out like
something
a couple
world. It
years.
was something world after that.
Oddworld.
Oddworld, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was very interesting, and the whole dynamic and the characters and the story was actually pretty good. But he didn't really make sense when he talked, but it was funny, and you just kind of walk along, and you had to rescue other of your species, and he was a cool character.
And don't forget about Clyde.
Clyde.
Clyde's
Well-
seen a whole bunch of them. We don't know how much he played, but he's seen a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
Clyde's gonna say the pong paddle.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that would be an insult. Come on now.
Worse than that, it was the Oregon Trail, and I was the dysentery kid. It's not Red Dead Redemption, but there was another 6-shooter Old West game that came out about the same time. It didn't prove as popular, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. I got it as a used game, but the character in that, it had a backstory for the character and all, and he was trying to get revenge and I think find one of his family members. And I don't remember his name, but I wish I could remember the game's name. But
Yeah, I remember there being another game about that time, but I don't remember what it was.
I was trying to look it up real quick, but I'm not seeing it. It's all showing me all the Red Dead Redemption, which I've sat and watched one of my friends play that, and that looks like a lot of fun. But
It really is. I bought. Let's see. When that came out, I bought Alan Wake, and I bought my son Red Dead Redemption. They both came out the same week. Alan Wake is a better game by far. But there's still really good games. But Red Dead Redemption, being from the Grand Theft Auto people, overshadowed the other game horribly.
yeah,
No matter how good it was, because this was part of the Grand Theft Auto company that outsold it by a ton, and everybody just loved it. And I like both games, but Alan Wake was probably a better game. But the character-wise, I mean, you're just a rider walking around town with a flashlight. Because there's demons in the dark, and the town is haunted and been consumed. But he's a rider, and you have to find pages, and it was really immersive.
Sounds like Silent Hill.
Well, that would be Silent Hill, but it's close to it. But I bypass games like Alan Wake, and I would end up playing stuff like during that time it would have been like the first Saints Row and the Gears of War at that point.
Gears of War, man, the graphics on that were ridiculous at the time.
I had a sniper. I played this at work on downtimes. Doom. I had a sniper character that I really liked him a lot. I was really good at hiding. I could pick out like camo and stuff and hide. And finally, my work partner wouldn't play with me anymore because he'd be running around. He wanted to go look. And he was like tough Marine guy, and all of a sudden he'd hear like pow. Red.
He'd be like, what hit me?
Damn, where are you? I can't see you.
Clyde, was it Call of Juarez?
Don't remember. Oh no, the other game. No, I found that one, but no, it's not that one. No. But yeah, I'd find a really good. And it depends. I mean, each of the settings you had different places to go, but I had scouted out and found the ones to hide in where he couldn't see me. Nor every once in a while he'd see me and shoot me, but it was like 10-1 of. So I like that character, but just because he had a high kill count.
Go ahead.
The game I liked most, I never played. It's Monster Hunter, and my oldest plays it with his friends. And I don't know. We're going way back in the Wayback Machine, back in the old Sim City days, in the early versions. They used to have a monster. You would build your city, and a monster would come out and attack it. And the monster always went wee, wee. So, and I pick on my oldest. He'd be playing Monster Hunter when his friends. It's like, that's not fair. The monsters are in there. They're just doing their thing. Y'all just come up there and what you do, take some shotgun, poke it up the monster's butt and pull the trigger. That's not fair to the monster. So whenever they would play, I come in my oldest room and I just go, wee, wee, wee. Until he got really tired of it. And his friends would hear it and go, what is she doing? He's trying to explain to a group that's half Japanese what his mom is doing. It's like kaiju rights, kaiju rights. It's like I may not be able to beat you in a game, but I can drive you crazy. And I have a devil horn, and I can't. Oh yeah, here it is. This is why I have a devil horn because I'm part devil.
No,
We
I
had a
thought she was
game on the
cosplaying,
PlayStation.
what's her name from My Hero Academia? Airy.
Oh,
Airy with the one horn.
We had a game on the PlayStation. The first PlayStation was Monster Rancher,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd have your own profiles and you'd fight each other with your monsters. But to generate monsters, it could do it in the game. But you'd take you'd open up the game, take out the game disc, and put in like a CD or I don't think there's DVDs at the time. A different musical CD, and it would read it real quick and generate a monster for you.
Oh,
and
wow.
depending what music CD you put in there, they're always different. Yeah, it's cool. It was a nice little gimmick.
Ooh, that would be interesting. Take a Rolling Stone CD and pop that in. See what
We'd have CDs everywhere. No, I don't like that one. That one sucked.
I would just do it just to hear it think, oh, you're running a rock. Some crazy Keith Richards looking monster standing beside it with a guitar. You know? I'm sorry. It's hot. It's humid. My brain is half fried.
Yeah, it's understandable. I mean, we just came out of all this rain and whatnot, so yeah.
We were lucky because we got, from what I can understand, we got tail end of barrel. You know, and so we didn't get smacked the way, you know, Texas got smacked. But, you know, it was like Mother Nature was definitely on a bender for a few days. She wasn't sure what she wanted to do. Hey, Carl.
Yep, we got Carl that's there and Donna's here. Yep.
Hello, everybody.
Yep. Everybody loves the intro.
Boys. Hello, boys.
No, that was before you came in.
Oh, okay.
That was before you came in. Almost had a full hand, and then we got Eric Boyd. And now Elaine too. See, that was before you came in. What movie are you talking about? I'm confused. Again, we don't talk about said actors, but let's just say what Grant Gustafson played the title character for the CW.
A very fast character.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know this movie. I'm lost. I did not catch that part of the conversation.
Does your laptop allow you to plug a LAN cable from the router?
No, I don't have one. The only one we have, my oldest has.
Okay.
So I don't have access to a LAN cable. I need to go get one. I'm hoping if I have enough from my, I had hoped to have enough from my commission, except, you know, the state treasurer is going to smack me for $75. Here in Illinois, the treasurer has decided all the companies that are registered have to do every year. You have to sort of re-register, I guess, and you have to file an annual report, and you can't just give them the information. They also want $75, I guess, to process your information.
You know, and,
for you. It's like, yep, the state, even if you're not making money, the state's still going to make money off you.
Exactly. Gun. Yeah, that
Oh,
I
okay.
couldn't think of it. I couldn't think of it. Gun. Yeah.
Took me a while to find it. I looked up the top 10 games, Western games, and it wasn't on there. Too many have come since then. Although Oregon Trail was, so they weren't all new games either. They were older ones. But.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
Oregon Trail was like in the first. I put in Western video games. Boom! I'm like, oh.
Yeah, 1970s.
Carl said he had a lot of Dysentery too, or Maniac Mansion. Maniac Mansion to me was a good puzzle game. It wasn't to me like a role playing game. It was more like a puzzle game.
One of them I played early on, Wolfenstein, all the early versions, all the way through the 3D versions. That was a fun game.
I know a lot of guys who played Wolfenstein.
I only played the 3D versions of Wolfenstein 3D. The original, what was it? I want to say ID Software Wolfenstein 3D.
And that was sort of like playing Sergeant Fury for real, on a computer. That was fun.
I remember my oldest playing Castlevania, an early version of it, and explaining it to me. And I would be sitting there watching and going, okay, when does it get scary? When does it get scary? Because this was back in the early days of the artwork. I think when it was still the 16-bit or something. So to me, it just wasn't that scary.
Symphony of the Night.
Was that Symphony of the Night?
Or Castlevania 4. It's either Castlevania 4 or Symphony of the Night if it's 16-bit.
I just wasn't finding it. It's like, if this is supposed to be Dracula and vampires, it's not scary. I should be sitting here going, oh, wow, okay, that was good.
See, again, you came late to the PlayStation day because one of the launch titles for PlayStation was the original Resident Evil. And friends of mine would get together and they would want to play. It's like, we're going to play this in the dark. That's like, why? It's like, we want to be scared. So they would have like things in that game to kind of represent the eeriness and creepiness as it loads. So it's like, if you're going up the stairs, it'll show you an animation of you actually walking up the stairs so you can hear each footstep. It's like, and it's like sitting in the dark and it's like, oh my goodness, this just does not feel well. And then by the time you get to Resident Evil 2, they actually introduce jump scares in those loading screens. So you're up there, it's like, okay, I'm about to open up this door and go through. Like, oh no, there's a zombie.
The Aliens game was a little like that. I never got to play it, but I loved the commercial when they put out when Aliens came out. They had a game for it, and I don't know why that commercial. It's a kid, he's playing it, and then they switched so you can see it switches from him because his mom is going, "Oh, you're just gonna sit there and play that game all night?" He goes, "Yeah, Mom, it's cool." And then they switch to the screen where it's the gameplay, and then they switch back to him sitting in his room in the dark in his hand. And he's like, "Mom, leave me alone." And he turns around, and it's an alien holding his mom's hand. And it's like, yeah, that's it.
So Donna says she missed old Wolfenstein. Guten Tag. Yep.
Guten Tag.
I never had a damn
You know.
and go Guten Tag. And don't make me come back here. It sounds like Doom was about to come out here and be like, "Hey, Carl, I'm here to pay you a visit."
Like, that's just like, "Hey, Warriors, come out to play."
Now, that was surprisingly a good video game, too.
Oh.
They actually did that in video game form, the Warriors. And you actually played as the Warriors, and it was done by the same people that did Grand Theft Auto, and they made the movie into an actual video game that you could play to see if you could survive what they survived to get back to Coney Island.
Did it have the soundtrack?
I don't think they had the soundtracks, but they had all the different games and stuff that you have to survive and a lot of the different trails that you have to go through the story
Now,
mode.
I'd have lost the game, but I would have at least loved to have the soundtrack. So, I'm on the game going, in the city. It's like, yeah, go ahead, beat my butt, but just give me something nice to listen to.
Like I said, I don't remember if all the soundtrack was there. It might be some of the more favorite songs and everything, but I don't know. I probably think about getting it at a later time. It was like that was one of those games. It's like, if you come to it at like a convention or something for cheap, buy it.
I have to look for that. That would be interesting just to have.
Mhm.
It's like certain books you want to get, not necessarily because you want to pull them out all the time, but you just want to say, I got it.
So I was so busy trying to remember that game. What did you say your favorite character was, Elaine? In video
I would
games?
say I didn't. I can't remember her name. She was in Street Fighter, the Alpha EX, and she had this black outfit with these thigh-high boots on, great high heel.
Oh, Blair Dane.
Yeah, and I don't know what the Japanese was, but it always sounded like she was saying, "Nice to see my knee."
Okay.
I would do that move on Charles. Go, nice to see my knee. Nice to see my knee.
And Eric, yours was Dragon Age. Is that?
Oh no, it was Abe. But then I started thinking about maybe it's Steve from Minecraft because I love Minecraft.
Steve?
That's the guy's name. Minecraft is Steve.
Okay.
But no, it was Abe from Abe's Odyssey.
Oh, okay. What about you, Joe?
I really wouldn't put it down to one character, but if I had to go with one franchise that is not a fighting game, it would be Johnny Gat from the Saints Row series.
What is it now? I'm sorry.
His name is Johnny Gat from the Saints Row series.
Okay.
Like Johnny Gat skills.
Okay.
Or Johnny got a Gatling gun and
mess you up. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, just sitting here thinking about our thumbnail for next week.
I knew what you were doing. I already figured that one out.
I'll make up a Rodman one, so something with a rabbit.
I was thinking, it's like, what would be your character if you did a thumbnail? What character would you select for yourself to your flag?
Oh well, I wrote down some of the like Wolfenstein, some of the games I talked about. So I'll have to look and see if I can find anything that looks right. But if I can find the gun graphics, that character looked pretty cool, so I get him. But
I love Plant vs. Zombies. It's something my oldest helped me put on my laptop. Every once in a while, when I need to really just zone out the brain because there's too much going on in there, I'll whip out Plant vs. Zombies. But there's no individual character for the Defender side. That there's not an individual character. You have the plant, but you don't have an individual character. And if I had to pick an individual plant, it would be the frozen watermelon.
I'll tell you my favorite game ever, and it's not a first person shooter game or anything, but I'd forgotten about this, but I would play this, and it took several discs to load this. It was a huge memory game. For a PC game, it was The Movies. And basically, like at the era where people were making their own theme parks, building a theme park from the or railroads, it was making your own movie studio.
Ooh.
Oh, I forget what company did that. I'm trying to think what company did that.
And you could actually film your movies with it. And it was a big memory hog.
Mhm.
and my computers would just barely run it. And then they all went away from, they went to the next generation, and there was no version of it to go with that. They've got some people that are making some things that are supposed to work, but it's about 50-50. You know, it's like you have to buy it, and then because um, it's basically they're not making their own games anymore, so they're taking the stuff that was with that and trying to make it into something for your PC. And about it works on about half computers, so I don't really want to buy it and not know for sure it's going to work. But
Right.
that was I would always have Miracle Studios, you know, because if it was a good picture, it was a miracle. So that was one of my favorite things to do, is to be the head of Miracle Picture Studio. And you know, you start off in the 20s in silent pictures, and it would go year to year to year to year to year, and you would make bigger sets and, you know, try to get people that would write. And of course, all of your stars would become problematic if they got bit too big, and you had to they'd be around on the lots drunk, and you'd have to go, you know, sober them up and get it was a great. And the studios would get like overrun with trash. You'd have to have the, you know, like the maintenance guys are on strike, so everything's not working today on the film. So it was very involved, but it was a lot of fun.
That sounds like. Did you ever try and do any Busby Berkeley type stuff?
Oh yeah, yeah. You could do it. You know, you would hire writers, and then you could actually just buy the scripts that the computer generated for you, or you could sit there as a writer and you could write your own stuff, and you could do all kinds of genres. I
Ooh.
love to do the horror movies and the sci-fi movies, but you know, you could do anything. I tried a couple of dance numbers and you could put music to it and everything. It was a really involved and fun program. If you like movies, you could make your own stuff.
Cool.
There was a game, well, similar, not as detailed.
Mhm.
I don't remember if it was a PlayStation or Xbox, but I want to say it was called Stuntman, but I don't know if it was called Stuntman or not. But I
No,
remember
there was one called Stuntman.
but all you do is drove a
game.
car, but you could do scenarios, or you could set up your own stunts with the car, and they would film it as you did them, and then you'd have the film play back to you in, you know, dynamic fashion with music and explosions and how you did the stunts, and you have to dodge stuff and make big jumps. I played that quite a bit. I totally forgot about that. I don't think we ever bought it. I think we rented it a few times when you could go out and rent games.
Mhm.
I told the guys I beat you 32 times playing Street Fighter.
Oh. Guess what, Clyde?
The
Guess
look.
what, Clyde? I think this is it here. I think this is it. Let me do it over here, because I believe Good Old Games actually has that game.
Well, see, I kept looking, and like I said, I came up with one that they had kind of cobbled together, but it only worked on about half the machine, so I didn't know if it had got any further than that
this
or
is
not.
one of the things that, you know, I have I actually have bought games through Good Old Games, GOG, as well as Steam, and I think this is the one that you're talking about.
Yep, that's it.
Yep.
Is this on Steam?
No, this is on Good Old Games, GOG.
Oh, okay.
So what they do is that they buy out all the licenses and stuff for the older digital rights media of the older games that don't have as stringent as digital rights media applied to it. They will buy them, and they will get them to work on modern hardware.
Right.
And they will package it up, and you can buy it from them at a deep discount to play like a lot of the older games and whatnot.
So how much have they got on it?
Let me find out here.
But the last time I looked, it was one of those where they had like customers going, "Well, this was great, except it didn't work on my computer."
Right. I mean, but they actually work on stuff like that. So they actually work on it, and I'm wondering. Yeah, show game. I'm trying to see. Maybe it's no longer available through their.
Oh,
I would say based on their success rate that being so spotty that they may have just pulled it.
Yeah, because it got a critic score of 87 out of 100, and I'm looking at the overview. I'm trying to find it within their store because I'm in their store and I don't see it. Let me go to all games here. Okay, let me go to let's see, not D, and stop giving me G. I'm not hitting G. Thank you. And now it's went to. You know what? Screw that
Performance anxiety.
Oh, I just say screw that keyboard. That was the USB keyboard that I was trying to use here, and for some reason it's like, no, we don't want you to use that, and now it's jumped all over the place because of the stupid keyboard.
The keyboard must hang out with my phone.
Yep. So we just unplug it for right now. And then hit 4.
She sees red. Ooh.
The complete is like the complete movie game collection. The Making Karateka. So okay, let me see what this is. The complete movie games.
That's not it.
No, that's definitely not it. No. I should have known by the graphics.
What you had there at the beginning looked right for its.
Yeah, but they do have a tendency to take games off as well. So like a lot of the older games that I love, if I don't get it right away, it will be taken off real quick. Like for example, on my wish list, it's like I got 10 games on my wish list. I have like River City Ransom Underground, Mutant League Football, Star Control 1, 2, and 3. Those were fun games if you ever played it before. Star Control. And
a friend of mine told me about Good Old Games, and I had looked it up. But last time I looked, it was $89. That sounds about right. It was a chunk, and about half of the customers said that it wouldn't work on their system. So I was like, well, I'm not going to spend that much money and then have something that I can't play anyway. So
yeah,
right. So they have like a lot of older games on here as well as some of the newer stuff.
Clyde, would you pay $22 for it?
Yes.
To see if it worked?
Yeah.
It's on Amazon for $21.99. There's only 2 left in stock.
But do you have to buy the discs and everything? Because I don't have anything that'll play them anymore.
Oh, yeah, it's discs. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I was thinking about that or Steam. I don't feel like loading up Steam. That is.
Yeah, I could load up Steam real quick. Steam? What do you mean? I don't know what Steam is.
No, see, I've got the discs. I've got that. I've got the game, but it's just I don't have anything to play it on anymore. And when I did have things that would read discs, the programs had changed enough that they couldn't read the discs anymore.
Probably, yeah, because this looked like an old game. So
Windows 95.
Oh, yeah.
Era. So
I still probably have a PC in storage that could probably still run it. And it's like, we ain't going to get rid of those older PCs. It's like,
never.
You never know when you're going to have an older program that's still going to require it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you got a newer PC does not mean that the older software will work on it.
This is funny. Customers also viewed a portable CD DVD ROM drive for the computer to play the game.
See.
Well, I'll tell you, my last laptop didn't have a disk drive at all.
What happened?
I've got one. I got an external drive that plays DVDs and CDs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need to get one of those. My last laptop didn't have it, and my gaming PC here doesn't.
You got one of these?
Well, it's not all nice and shiny like yours, but it
no,
does.
It's not nice and shiny. I just keep the box nice and pristine.
When my son built me my desktop, Frankenstein, I wanted to be able to play music and movies, and it didn't have a slot for CD-ROM reader, so he just got one for me. So it sits on top of them, and he took the power thingy out of Frankenstein, so I can't use Frankenstein anymore. So I have the drive. So,
That was a USB one. So anything that got at least a USB to plug, I could use that DVD drive. Actually it's a CD and DVD burner.
Oh, cool.
it reads and it burns. So
It is not on Steam, Clyde.
oh
Yeah.
So that, like I said, that's the closest thing that I could see here.
Mm.
I've got a couple games like that I've been wanting to find and I can't find it anymore. It's Aerobiz is one of them. I loved Aerobiz. You ran airlines. It was just stupid, but I like simulator games.
Yeah.
And another one was Theme Hospital,
which
I bought used and sold it used for more than I paid for it. It was so popular.
Mm-hmm.
Or rare. Let's go with rare and popular. Nobody wanted it. And then they found out, oh, this is Theme Hospital right there. Bullfrog, yeah.
I would like to just have it to play because like I said, it was a real memory hog. So those Windows 95
for $1.49.
$1.49.
Yeah. So those Windows 95 computers really, I mean, I would have to shut it down to get resident memory back to run anything else, after I was done. And so you do the movies, you'd write the script and you'd make the movie and you'd be trying to play it and it would, go really slow. And then it would go fast and then it was slow. And modern computers would be able to just handle it with no problem. I would love to see how the movies would look with that, with regular modern memory chips and everything today.
Yeah.
But it ain't gonna happen.
No, they could do so much more with the technology too today. I mean, graphic wise and everything.
Oh yeah.
But this is the type of stuff that I have that I could play at my fingertips here.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah.
Yep, I had to get those.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do it.
Okay.
And then my guilty pleasure. Wing Commander 1, Wing Commander 2, Wing Commander 3, Wing Commander 4, Prophecy, Secret Ops.
Nope, it's about that time for me to run.
Oh no.
But before I go, real quick, so at the top of the hour, Joe mentioned the new Beverly Hills Cop movie.
Mm-hmm.
Me and the wife watched the original one before the new one came out. I believe it still holds up 100%. But Taggart, who's in the new one as well, you had Taggart and Billy.
Yeah.
Can you guys guess how old Taggart was in the original movie? How old he was?
No.
He was in his 30s, right?
He was only 36.
What?
Yeah.
Yes, he was only 36.
He does not look like he aged well at all.
Well, he didn't look good for 36.
Yeah.
I would have thought he was closer to 50 back in the original one.
Yeah.
And I saw he's in the new one. I was like, man, was he 100? I would recommend people go see it because it does hit all your nostalgia buttons.
I see him now. All it feels like, you know what? If they gave him a CG wrestler's body, he could be Mike Hagar. He has the face. He has the voice, but he does not have the body anymore.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. But I gotta go, so we'll see you guys next week.
All right.
And have fun, and see you later.
Have fun with Nicodemus.
Yes. Bye.
So that brings us to the part of our program that always deal with the review portion.
Yay.
I got books that I could review, but like I said, I'm going to leave it up to the audience about how angry they want me to be tonight.
Cast your angry votes now for Joe.
Yes.
I
On
will
a
be
scale
right
from
back.
0 to 4. 0 being I'm not angry, and 4 is like, yeah, I'm ready to break somebody's back and really let everything out about just poor production, poor everything, and just so on a scale of 1 to 4, I want the audience to say what level you want me at.
Vote now. Cast your votes now.
Yes.
So is 4 like where you're really mad, and 1 is when you're
Mhm.
not? Okay.
Yep.
I was about to say, have you seen the latest?
We got 1 vote for 4.
No,
They
no.
don't know. They don't know what they're in for. They don't know
Have you
what they're
seen?
in for.
I think what Joe is describing here is for those who've seen the latest Godzilla Kong movie, is the scene where Kong grabs the little gorilla, beats him up, and then uses him to beat other gorillas. You know, so I think that's for y'all. You
You
know?
all voted for 4. Now you get to see Joe beat up the comic he hates with the comic that he only hates slightly less. This is not good.
And you know what? There's actually a combination that is like that. I already showed you, Clyde, that it's like, you know what? When I think about it, yeah, I could use this one to beat up on this one I really hate.
And then, after he beat them both to a pulp, he threw them across the room 25 feet, which is a new record for Joe. So
There's just no level of tossing at a 4. There's no level of tossing that it's not. You can't toss this far enough away.
I will be right back.
Okay.
I made a promise to Donna. I gotta keep it. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So we already got a 4 vote, so that's already registered here. So that's good. That counts towards the thing. So yeah, there's people that have been waiting for me to really review one particular issue. At first, I'm keeping an open mind. I'm still trying to keep an open mind. Then I read the books after it, and I'm like, yeah.
It's closed. The Mind Shop is now closed. Thank you very much.
I'm still at the point where I'm still questioning myself. Even if this writer is bringing in newer readers, do we really need newer readers that bad? So, okay, she's back here. So
I'm waiting for my phone to figure out, that it can connect to the internet from here, so I
okay.
can get into the chat and give a list of names to Donna
Okay.
for her.
Right.
Donna's cousin wants a list of names of anime manga. Oh shoot, that's right. She's leaving. Dang it! I'm an idiot.
Wait, but no. You have to be mindful that there is a such show called Stupid O'Clock that happens in about 2 minutes that
Yes.
she's also a part of. So,
but you could
you have to
message
be
her
mindful of
to
that.
her, maybe, if you're friends
You
on Facebook.
you can still DM it to her. She will still get it, and she will still respond to it.
Okay, because I was
So
supposed
it's not like she's leaving to go do something else. She's leaving to go be a part of another show. So that means that she's still online and everything.
Because I told her I would give her that list of names of manga and anime artists that her cousin could follow here on YouTube, who do tutorials and stuff about how they do what they do. And I wanted to give her at least my top 3 in regards to either people who do just the art that's inspired by it, or people like Mark Crilly, who is a manga artist. He's a mangaka.
Exactly.
He spent quite a time living in Japan. His books are manga inspired and related. So I wanted to give her that list, and I feel so stupid now. I am saying live, Donna. I am big fat stupid head.
Well, here's the question for you here, Lane. Are you planning to share this week as far as reads are concerned for review?
Ooh, Jeez, I feel like I've just woken up after a 6-week bender. Um, my books are in my room because that's where I sat and read them, and I don't have them in front of me. But um, the the Alien saga, as I told you, they had the um, alternative script for Alien 3, which was supposed to be the follow up to the James Cameron movie. Um, and there were things I liked about it, and like because we're talking Dark Horse, they have written the book on being able to do the lore for the creature, and they they did an alien that instead of bursting out of your chest, basically takes over your whole body and it just rips your skin off and then you're gone. Um, but it was interesting and I can see why the studio in the end set gave it the no skis because yeah, Newt and Ripley are in it, but the way they do it in this book, Newt gets sent back to Earth because she has grandparents there. So before the evil stuff goes down, they put her on the last shuttle to make it safely off this Wayland Yutani place and gets her sent. Hicks becomes the focus because Ripley gets knocked out trying to protect Newt and then never wakes up. And so Hicks just puts her in an escape pod and ships her out before things get ugly and she gets taken over. So it ends up being Hicks. But what I liked about it was there was this interesting dichotomy between the Earth government and this group of people who had decided we don't want to be told by the Earth government and Wayland Yutani what to do. So we're going to set up our own little republic of few little planets and stuff and whatnot. And it's an interesting because they both want the alien for the same reason. Wayland Yutani wants it because, weapons division. These people want it because Wayland Yutani want it and maybe they can use it. But, you know, just as they say in regards to mice and men, things don't go the way they want. And um, it ends up going bad. The book does cover that sort of back and forth. I'm only going to tell you I'm only going to tell you what I need to tell you. That's okay because we have the better info anyway. And you see this sort of, it's very political how they both want to use it. But the independent group figure out sooner that this thing is not going to be good. And their little um, station, they end up having to call in their own military crew to destroy it. By the time the people on Wayland Yutani realize what's going on, it's like 5 seconds short of too late. And then it's only Hicks, this one other woman, an Asian woman who comes from the other group who is dying. She's dying of radiation exposure. But she saves the day. When it looks like they're not going to get away from the alien, she comes in her little shuttle and zaps him with her gun and saves the day for them. But it ends up being Bishop, Hicks, and this other woman. And they did it so it looks like, oh, okay, so we've sent Newt out to whatever. Ripley is out there in space somewhere, and Hicks is now going to be the driving force. This is now going to be Hicks's fight, which kind of doesn't make sense because technically Hicks was in the Colonial Marines, and once he's awakened, he should have been sent back because to not return means he's a deserter, which means there's a price on his head. So I'm sitting there going, Did you guys think about that? But it was like on the one hand, there was a lot of and it's stuff that they had laid. I will say they were smart and they took the stuff from movie one and two, which was the whole reason the Nostromo landed on LV 426 was because the company sent them there. So, and then when they go back to LV 426, it's because they've lost communication with the colonists because um, Paul Reiser's character Burke has, after listening to um, Ripley's testimony, has contacted them and said, "Hey, can you send somebody to such and such a spot and see if there's anything there?" And that sets off the chain of events, and the stuff from the second movie happened. Um, and it turns out that Burke didn't just he didn't just order Bishop to take the two live thingies back, but he had actually sent word to Wayland Yutani that this was all real, that Ripley wasn't crazy, that they had two live ones. He had told them what to look for. So that way, when this all goes down, the Wayland Yutani people are already on it. They're already trying. They're already going. Oh, we need to go in and lock this down and get this thing and make it ours. Um, so it's like, okay, at least you're paying attention to what's already been done before. But it was like you just put Ripley in an escape pod and
Mm.
ship her out in the middle of nowhere particular. you know,
Again. Again.
again. And I was like, yeah, I could see how that would piss Sigourney Weaver off
Yeah.
because I noted before she got Oscar nominated for Alien. She was the first actress or actor to be Oscar nominated for their performance. And so for the studio to even think of, yeah, here's your Oscar nominated actress, and you're just gonna take her character and put her in this an escape pod and boop, and she's asleep for for what time she's on, except for 5 seconds when they knock her out. You know, yeah, that worked. I can't remember what, but there was a movie where the I guess the lead character wanted out and I guess they found his body or something and he just sort of disintegrated and then someone else had to take up his space. I can't remember what movie it was. It's very strange. But that to me was where I started kind of going, okay, you had me right up to that moment where you shot Ripley out because we have set this up as Ripley's story. And I get it. You want to do something with Hicks, but you could have made it Ripley and Hicks' story,
Yeah.
you know. But to just suddenly go, oh, well, we're going to kick the chick out into, heaven help her, and it's now Hicks's fight.
Hmm.
To me was okay. Yeah, I could see why that doesn't work. Somebody with some brains go, okay, the fandom's not going to go for this. As much as they might like the Hicks character, they're not going to take Hicks as, and it's not to say Michael Biehn's not a good actor, but if you think about the two biggest movies of this type Michael Biehn has done, he was always the support to the woman. The first movie I ever saw him in was the first Terminator,
Mhm.
and he's he's the support to her. He helps her gain the strength she needs so Sarah Connor can go and do what she needs to do. And this one, he's just one of the Marines who doesn't, Ripley takes a little of a shine to it, doesn't end up getting dead. To suddenly make him that important to me doesn't make sense. I'm just as a writer, I'm sitting there going, yeah, you took me, and especially since Ripley, having watched having watched Alien several times, Ripley and Newt, that's an important, just for both their characters, that they made that connection. Ripley lost her mom, her dad, her brother, everything she knew in that colony. And then, I mean, not Ripley, Newt. And then Ripley lost her daughter. She had promised her daughter, I'll be home in time for your birthday, because that was the plan. They were supposed to go pick up this ore, come back, and she would have been back in time for her daughter's 11th birthday. And so to then come home and find out that her daughter has become an old woman and died without knowing what happened to her mother, it's just this heartbreak for her. And Newt is like that second chance. Each of them is the other's second chance. And then they just said, "Oh, we're going to send Newt and the shuttle back to Earth, and we're going to send Ripley wherever." It's like, as a strident feminist, I just kind of went. I mean, it's a well done story in its way, but it would not, to me, it would not have made a good movie, as maybe some sort of standalone story with two other characters besides Ripley and Newt as the two women sent out, and the guy picks up the fight, maybe. But I could see why that script wasn't going to work. I think, I know I would, about halfway through, would have gotten up and said, "Okay, I'm done," and not watched anymore. But the minute they put Ripley in that shuttle and shipped her out into space, I'd have been, "Okay, I'm done. Bye."
All right. So that sounds interesting. And that's just only what, book 2 that you're doing?
It's the whole that's the whole story. I
Okay.
decided I would just do the whole story. Um,
Okay.
the, the next one I'm going through, because I love it, and it's another oldie, will be the Mage books. I don't know if
Okay.
anybody here has ever read Mage besides me.
Mhm.
I love Mage. I love the original books. I finally got most of the original books, but I'm gonna pick from. I will probably either get Mage or see if I can find, if I can. I have the digital copies of 1 through 5, but I don't
Okay.
have physicals of 1 through 5. So if I can find all my Sandmans, if I can get a deal and get all the Sandmans, I may do those.
All right. Well, let me go ahead because now we got new people in the house. We got Parallax here.
Hey, Parallax.
Hey, Lamb.
And I guess people are waiting to find out what would set me off here.
Okay,
And these two know already, and some of you out there probably know because I kind of gave people kind of fair warning because as I was reading these books, I was just up there like, yeah, but at least there's new people reading the book. At least there's new people, and then I'm like, I don't want these people reading these books. I really don't.
I'm gonna get my shield up.
Like, all right. Well, because you guys want me to rage out, so we won't be talking about this one. This one I actually liked here,
Yay!
and this one here, I like how they ended the whole series in a nice, pretty bow.
Good.
This one here would be the one that I would use to pick up to hit the other one that I'm about to get ready to talk about.
Oh man.
I got a
And the only reason
feeling.
this one gets picked on because for some reason the creative team knows that the series is ending and they did nothing in this issue really. There was nothing special about this issue at all. So it was like, what was the whole point? What was the whole point, of the whole issue? That you could have told this whole story that's in this whole issue in 2 pages.
Damn.
I take that back. 3 pages. You can do it in 3 pages.
Wow.
He's being nice.
Oh, let me go ahead and preface this. The words that are about to come out of my mouth are not the reflection of Comic Book Spectrum, nor the other panelists or anything to that magnitude. This is nothing more than a gut reaction from a person who has been publishing, who has edited books before, who has written books before, and let's just leave it at that. So, without further ado, we're going to talk about one of these writers who I believe is just now getting too full of himself because I have a good story, but they won't let me write. They won't let me write Batman, so I got to do the next best thing here. I'm going to pick a character that deserves what I feel that deserves a story like this. And you're going to ruin a lot of things about the lore of this character. But long story short, we're going to pick up where we left off here. And those who know Comic Book Spectrum, I'm not going to go back through any of the other issues because I don't want to get depressed anymore. So, no more stalling. Issue number 7, Wonder Woman, fluff issue. Has nothing to do with the main storyline that's going on as of right now with the whole nonsense. I'm trying to find nicer politically correct words. Nonsense that is going on about the world versus Amazons and all the other stuff. This issue has nothing to do with that, and it's a fluff issue because why? This character right here, Superman, invites Wonder Woman to this space mall for them to buy a present for Bruce on his birthday, which he looks at and gives to an orphanage because he's like, I have no need for this particular alien-like diamond, and gave the diamond over to an orphanage where they could survive here. Waste of time. The issue that everybody warned me about, the issue that everybody wanted me to read. Why? Because they were upset. And I was like, it can't be that bad. You wouldn't be able to get that upset about something that happened in a book unless there's no justification here, or there's some type of outrage or anything to that magnitude. We get back into the story in issue 8. Now, mind you, I have told you the story about how I looked at books like Bitch Planet, didn't understand where things were going. Eventually said something on Twitter, got a chance to talk to the writers and everything, and I got an understanding. I got an understanding of where a better understanding, and knew how to read the book. I've been reading this volume of Wonder Woman from day one. And they set up everything where everything is just so disjuncture. He's not telling a cohesive story. We're getting bits and pieces of things that happen in different time periods during this trust of anybody that's metahuman. So eventually, in issue number 8, we finally get to the point where Diana actually meets this, sees the Sovereign. She's actually captured. The Sovereign has her, and he used the lasso of lies on her. That part I could accept. But the one choice that I can't stand, I will not stand, and I believe a lot of comic book readers should expect better of Tom King on. You don't Bible thump. You don't believe me? We get not even to the second page. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22-24. The Apostle Paul on husbands and their wives. Wives, subject yourself to your husband as you are to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, just as Christ is head of the church. Or one must add, as the sovereign is the head of a nation. And he's up here preaching to her, literally preaching to her while she's tied up with the Last of the Lies, while the Last of the Lies putting her back into what I consider the tail end of sensation comics from back in the 1940s, and putting them in this whole, kind of like relationship type thing with Steve Trevor from back then, like everything was going back then. And this continued on. You get, these scenes here where Steve is not happy with anything that she does or anything to that magnitude. It's like dinner was a little bit late. He's like, oh, ho, hum, this, that, the other. It's like, oh, the roast is a little bit dry. It's like, what is this that I'm reading? It's like, why are you trying to shove things back back in what some people may think is okay from back in the day in a Wonder Woman book that exclusively is against this. And he continues on. He continues on, and pretty much the Sovereign is literally doing this, trying to embarrass Diana, using this while Bible thumping and quoting all of these quotes and everything from the Bible. Again, another quote from First Timothy, talking about how everything is just and whatnot and everything to that magnitude. And eventually, Diana is kind of beginning to see through things, through the lies and everything that he's trying to put here. And he's, like nonchalantly, it's like, no, you're actually going to submit to this. It's like, if she's up here trying to figure out what's really going on and everything, because the lasso of lies is just giving her all this imagery. It's like, trying to make her seem like she's insignificant, that this is supposed to be the normal course of action. I got to the point where it's just like, this dude is just so full of himself, has his crown on, and it's like, look, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and yada, yada, yada. I got all this other stuff. And then all of a sudden, the Last of the Lies up here brought in Hippolyta. And then Hippolyta is up here talking to her and trying to make it seem like everything is going on the way that it's supposed to. And he's still up here Bible thumping during that whole time and everything. And eventually Diana breaks free, and pretty much she's about to get ready to have at it until his forces comes and surrounds her and everything. They shock her back, back into submission and everything. And she's not letting go. She's actually not letting go to the Sovereign and everything, and said to be continued. And then we got another Trinity story. I leave that alone because Trinity is a waste of a character in the first place here. Because it's not back in its bag anymore. I'm not tossing that one here. So issue number 9, we get the final results of everything that was going on there. We get more of how this so-called Last of the Lies imagery was going on, and she actually starts going through her life, looking at different aspects of her life with Steve, and they're commenting on just life in general and her importance and whatnot. And the whole fact is like, what if she did to the Sovereign like she did to Maxwell Lord and everything, killed him like Maxwell Lord and all this other stuff, and thinking about all the different things that they could have happened if they were together and all this other stuff. And it's just going through all of this conjecture that means not moving the story along at all. It's just like, it's all more of along the lines. It's like a self-serving purpose to, oh, this is what I'm defining Diana to make this story work. This is not who she is. She would not be doubting this stuff. She would not be arguing a lot of these arguments with Steve. She is who she is. And this was the thing that made me think that, that all of this stuff was just all up in her head with the scene right here where she pretty much asked him, was like, well, why haven't you kissed me? And it was like, if you love me in that aspect, why haven't you kissed me? And that's when he says, like, I'm just a figment of your imagination. It's like, even so, if you're a figment of my imagination, you love me, therefore you would have shown affection to me. So again, going through all this stuff with how the lasso of lies affected her and all this other stuff and everything, and then we get back to how she got encaged again, and the sovereign's up here still looking, thinking that he's going to talk some shit and everything, and just like, and looking at her like, well, you're going to eventually break it. And she's like, no, I have my friends here, and my friend is the rat that helped her, kept her sanity. And again, because the book is not in the Mylar, I can't throw it. So we get to issue number 10. And issue number 10, fast forward things again. Fast forward things all over the place. So we never get a true conclusion of anything throughout Tom King's run. We just get snippets and more snippets. There's nothing that has been truly resolved and move a story forward. You just get all these little bitty blips and tick marks and all this other stuff that just means nothing. And this goes to show you that nobody is up here editing these books. Nobody is up here saying, telling Tom King none of this stuff makes sense as far as a contiguous story. What is the ultimate payoff in all of this? By not fulfilling, an actual third act. It's like you get first, second, third act is like, okay, to be continued. And then you get to the next issue, you really don't get a true third act to resolve the conflict to move forward. It's just like all this stuff just happens, and then you get to an issue like issue number 10, and you finally get Donna, Yara, and Cassandra involved in the mix here. So now they show up in a designated area. We don't know why they're there, but they're pretty much there mainly because of everything that's going on with the whole thing with the distrust and the sovereign and all this other stuff, because Diane told them about all of that stuff before she does what she does here. And then all of this was done here, and now all of a sudden she's on a desert island, and she's just doing, she finally there and everything, and there's Cheetah. So she's all there and this, that, and the other, and then her and Cheetah, spots one another. They have a little bit of a tiff, but they actually had a meeting per se. Even though after they fight and everything, they had their talks and whatnot. And after they fought, they finally admit to one another about how different that they are, but all of a sudden, but they're actually the same. That they love one another deeply. And it was more than just like that rival type aspect. It kind of introduced a whole nother level to their relationship. It's not like they hate one another. It's just more like they see better. They want the other to be better. So it's like Diana never saw Barbara Minerva as a enemy. Is more along the line she saw Barbara having hope for Barbara to do better, just like Barbara had hopes for Diana to continue to being a better person than what she is. So I was like, okay, I could accept that, but what happened with the sovereign? What happened with all this other stuff? And then it was revealed that, the whole reason why she got captured by the sovereign was to break her out. I was like, what? Excuse me, maybe I missed something. When did the breakout occur? Why didn't we see that aspect here? What's going on? It's like, what is this joint storytelling have anything to do with making the character better? You're not telling anything that is making me like Diana more or less. But yet you got people who love Tom King's work and they're happy, and like making me like, do I really want these people reading Wonder Woman, especially when we get back to people who could write this character? It makes me just wonder where things are going. So pretty much after they made the trip to the island that they're on in the Invisible Jet, you got Yara, Cassandra, and Donna that's there, and they finally meet up with Diana and everything, and pretty much the five of them about to get ready to confront the rest of the world to deal with Sovereign's forces. And that's where issue number 10 at. We don't have anything contiguous. We just have plot points. Plot points moving along. Plot point moving along. Plot point moving along. Not a story. Plot point moving along. Plot point moving along. I'm just unhappy. This is not the type of Wonder Woman title that I signed up for. This is not the storytelling that I normally would buy Wonder Woman for. But I'm giving it I've been doing my best to give it a motherfucking pass. Why? Because it brings new people who are reading the book, and when I talk to brand new people who are now getting into Wonder Woman, and I'm up here, it's like, well, why don't you read the older stuff? I don't get that pushback as much, but they also have that question mark because the older stuff does not match to what Tom King is doing, and it makes me sad. It makes me sad because this is not Wonder Woman to me. This is nowhere close to it. Will I tell people not to buy Wonder Woman? Of course not. Why would you like? I don't like this, but I'm a Wonder Woman fan and a Wonder Woman collector, and I read Wonder Woman books. That's what I do. Can I be critical of what Tom King is doing and still be objective? Yes. You guys have seen that. But how would I rate what's being done as of right now? For issue 7 through 10, as of right now, the best grade that I could give to it as a whole from all 4 of those issues, at best is a 4. Because he's not telling a complete story. He's just giving us plot points of where he wants things going, and he just don't know where things are going. Why? Because there's not a true editor over there at DC that will rein him in to make him do a complete story like he did with Mr. Miracle and some of the other stories that he told here. Now, mind you, he does his homework as far as some of the things in the past that happens, but he's not making a great story. Just like how he messed up Danger Street at issue number 9. Mm-hmm. He already messed up Wonder Woman by the time we got to issue number 6. So, only thing I can say is read at your own, read at your own peril. I'm not dropping the title here, but I still will read it. I will still try to find some enjoyment out of it. I'm not going to completely poo-poo Tom King and call him names or anything here. But the only thing I can say, this is definitely not my Wonder Woman. And I'll leave it at that.
It seems like
I tried to be nice as possible. I wanted to say some more choice words, but I kept myself from doing that because this is a family show.
Joe?
Yes.
Can you hear that squelching sound in the background when you're talking?
I only hear when anybody else is talking.
Okay. Elaine, would you mute yourself for just a second? Okay. Test. Yeah. Elaine, there's something on your end that is making this like, it almost sounds like somebody's taking a paper sack and just kind of whenever anybody else talks.
Okay. Let me see if this helps.
Now we could hear you okay, Joe. It's just that it was in the background and it was irritating, but it seems like King is just like you said about Danger Street. He would, that was a fairly decent little fable type story until he hit the pontification plateau and just stayed there for that whole issue number 9. And, it not only caused me to quit buying it before the 12 issues were done. But there were some things that I had on my pull list for that he was going to start new projects. I canceled them too because it was just, it was a pontification masturbation session, and it had nothing to do with the story up to that point. It's just like he wanted to get this off his chest, but that's not what I was buying that issue for, and it's not what you buy Wonder Woman for. So, and he has written some really good
this
stuff.
pissed me off.
Yeah,
This actually pissed me off.
yeah. I feel you. I was the same way about Danger Street. Yeah.
I mean, I could get behind using scripture if you're trying to tell a story, but he's trying to use scripture to the degree of what most men who feel that they're better than women would normally use just to personify his point. And it's like he didn't need it. The Sovereign didn't need that, to be quite honest here. I mean, you made the Sovereign to be more like the jerks that you made all males from issue number 1. Starting from issue number 1, it's like nobody understood the other side. That they're the ones picking the fight. They're the ones that's causing the problem. They don't see that. But stuff like that just makes me it just sends me over the edge, because I was like, I want some type of payoff. You're not giving me that payoff.
Yeah,
well, why are you doing
you're not
this?
continuing your story. It's just like you said, it's like a PowerPoint presentation, and that's an awful lot of telling but not showing anything.
So, well, Clyde, it is your turn here.
Okay.
Hopefully you could steer this train back to something positive.
I think I can.
Right.
For one thing, I was talking before the show about Absolute Power. I read it, the first issue of it, this new big event, DC. I probably won't be picking up any more of it because I don't really. It's a very action-packed thing. It starts off with, right out of the gate, it gets your attention. But I am intrigued. I'm intrigued by the absolute part of Absolute Power, because July 25th will be the San Diego Comic-Con, and of course everybody saves big announcements and stuff for that. And apparently DC has planned to launch, according to a leaked information that seems to be pretty spot on. They're going to make an absolute universe or reality that does for DC Comics what the Ultimates has done for Marvel. And this is apparently maybe the stepping stone to get to that. So that interests me, the whole absolute idea, which is basically taking the major characters of the universe and getting rid of 60 or to 80 years of continuity, just starting from scratch with a more modern take. That is nowhere associated with the other mainstream continuity, except that maybe it is. It's a big two thing of absolutely no way that this will ever impact the other, but it might, because we're us. So that's exciting. That's more exciting than I would have expected this to become out of the gate of Absolute Power. So I look forward to that. Grant Lankard, a friend of the show, put out League of Cryptids, and I got my copy right before the 4th of July holiday. And League of Cryptids is a really good concept where a lot of the creatures that we look at as cryptozoological creatures are part of an interstellar group, sort of like the Federation of Planets. They oversee growing and evolving civilizations on other worlds, alien worlds. But each of the cryptids that we think of as monsters are actually they're guardians and overseers, and they are different space alien races that are represented by like the Sasquatch, the Mothman, and it's a very interesting concept. It was, of course, it was a Kickstarter type project, but I'm hoping that there are some more issues of this because it starts off very well, and I want to read more of it. So, um, I have been reading Cryptid, like the Cryptid Project from I think it's Ahoy Comics, and I've got to where on those I pick what monster that they're doing before I will put it on my pull list. It's been up and down, not very satisfying. But this was very, very fun read. And Grant, I applaud you. This was a lot of fun. So I want to see where this goes from here. So every year when we do our online convention to benefit comic books for kids, um, we have a B-list booster where we talk about characters we would like to see brought back or given a shot at being a mainstream, carrying their own title, even if it's a miniseries. 2 years ago, I said I wanted to see the Human Fly in his own comic book again, and guess what? This week it happened. It's not a bad issue either. I think it's a one-shot unless it proves to be very, very popular. But this is a Canadian and Australian project that came out, and it definitely left some hooks that you want to see what could happen in the future with it. Some mystery about, this guy claims to be the same Human Fly from the 70s, but he's doing things that somebody his age would not be able to do. So, and it was very well written, a well written mystery kind of story, and assassination attempt on a major political figure. And it was, I rated about a 7 out of 10 read. It was not bad. And I love seeing this character come back. Now, this is not Marvel. This is a very small company that got the rights to do it. I had never heard of them before. They are IPI Comics, which is a trading name of S Cube Magazine Pty Ltd Limited. So has quite a bunch of different writers and artists on it. It has 2 different stories in here. So, but if you like the Human Fly back in the 70s, this is worth picking up. So last week, a couple of good books that came out. Boy Wonders. The Boy Wonder continues, and this time we're looking at the Tim Drake Robin through the eyes of a fable and a story of headed up by Damien. They have done Nightwing and the Red Hood, and now we get the Tim Drake Robin, Red Robin, and it continues to be an excellent read. I'm not the biggest Batman fan right now because they do so much Batman stuff, but this is quite good. Space Ghost number 3 did one of those things you love. They made one of the partner characters, the sidekick characters, smart, do smart things, and show you why, why would Space Ghost have a couple of orphans on board? Because they pull their weight and they are very, very smart and capable. Also, you cannot hate a comic book that actually takes a space monkey and makes him a major part of the storyline, as at least as a MacGuffin, and insists, it's one thing to take the orphan partners that you kind of adopted and you put them into costume, just like you are. That's one thing. But you can't hate a comic book that does the same thing. I'm trying to find one of the pages to show here. Where did it go? Okay. You can't hate a comic that does the same thing to the Space Monkey. I could just imagine the twins, Space Ghost going, here are uniforms for you, and put the monkey in one too, with a mask. And it's a realistically drawn monkey, so I get a charge out of how that looks. But it's a very satisfying. It's Is it silly? Not as silly as some of the cartoons used to be. Um, not written down to that level for young readers, but you had a very smart villain who was dealt with the help of the partners. But it has such a joyful and positive, while having a storyline that makes you not sure that the good guys are going to win. Um, and this is the David Pepos written Space Ghost, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's respectful of the characters and shines a really good light on all of them so far. So um, we had the final issue of Monsters Are My Business, a Colin Bunn story about a really hard hitting paranormal investigator kind of guy, sort of like a cross between Constantine and Lobo. This is the way this works out. But it was a really satisfying read. The ending is great. I read a lot of Colin Bunn stuff because he's not always on mark, but when he is, I enjoy his writing, and he writes a lot, a lot. So I don't read nearly everything that he writes. I have read some things that left me a little cold, but this was one of the more satisfying supernatural books that I have read of his lately. So keep going, Colin. This was a really fun one. This was a good one. Dead Weights, that's the series with the bad guys who are trying to become good guys. It's been a fair read. This is issue number 4. I think there's one more issue to this series. Really knocked it out of the park. I mean, we're getting to know these two bad guys who are trying to turn over a new leaf, and the the heroes of the world who are trying to basically I don't know, discourage them from, it's almost like they don't want them to try to be better. Almost like be villains so we could just beat on you, like, because we're much more powerful. There's more of us than you, and they're fighting an uphill battle. And this was a really good issue to show where the heroes are not so heroic, and the bad guys can be more decent human beings than the heroes at times. So this was an unexpectedly pleasant read. I'll probably review this one next week. From the pages of Minor Threats, Barfly. This is like the lower end of henching. This is one that even the Monarch's henchmen could look down their noses on. This kind of a minion, and it's his story. It is written by Kyle Starks, and I'm a big Kyle Starks fan. This has got the same kind of spirit that the 6 sidekicks of Trigger Keaton had. If you like underdogs and you like, this is like the ultimate underdog, kind of a supervillain henchman that's on his own, trying to make his own way. It's really clever. It's very well illustrated, and it fits right into the Minor Threats. It probably realizes the idea behind Minor Threats more than any of the other books ever have. And they've had 2 series so far, and they've been good, but this is really, I think, the best out of all of it, because that's kind of the Starks trademark, to take an underdog, or in this case, an underfly, and make you care. And he does it again very well here. But my review is going to be for Soul Taker #1. This is one of those Mad Cave Studios productions that I have been liking recently because they take some chances. And this one is no exception. It's also an immortal story. I like immortal stories. So this is the cover, which I thought was a very, very good cover. And most of the things that you see on this cover are in the book. So kudos on that. I'll show you a few pages here. It has a very everyday, slice of life for a retired person. And it's very staid in that way. At first, I thought it was kind of underwhelming, but as I got into the story, it grew on me of what kind of a setting that they were establishing. This lady, Amara, is happily retired. She lives a pretty dull life, although she does make her way into town and leaves a blood and hair sample for somebody anonymously. It's like a dead drop, and they leave her a big bundle of cash, which was interesting, only to find out she's being followed. But unlike most senior citizens, she doesn't like to be followed, and she takes evasive actions that most senior citizens would not be able to do. And then, when she has to, she actually confronts her pursuers and overwhelms them. Since they're all much younger than she is, that seems somewhat unlikely until you find out that Amara is an immortal. This is not her first fight. This is not her first fight, like over the course of millennia. Looks can be deceiving, and in her case, they are very, very. They are not just misleading, but even if you know who she is and what she is, you tend to, because she seems so innocuous, you underestimate her. And next issue, we're going to be seeing how a brotherhood of knights made the people that she came from extinct, more or less. So, quick review here. This is written by Tom Snagosky and Janine Atchison. The art is by Valeria Burzo. The colors are by Emilio Lezzi, and letterer is Jim Campbell. And again, it's Mad Cave Studios as the publisher. So we're in an age of more geriaction heroes than usual. And it's good seeing that not all of them are tough and grizzled old warriors that are guys. And while surface comparisons could be made between Soul Taker #1 and some series like the Old Guard, it's even better seeing that not every immortal female leads a team of deathless mercenaries into the modern era. In fact, as presented in this limited series debut, some age extremely gracefully and they settle for a routine existence in a Florida residential living center. The choice may not have been voluntary for Amara, however. She is an immortal being, the last of her kind, as far as she knows, due to, at least in part, a purge over the centuries, carried out by an order of zealous knights called the Venatori. And these days, Amara, a being who feeds on the life energy of humans, once predator of apex predators, is no longer hunted. But that requires a degree of domestication and adaptation to an adrenaline free everyday existence. Luckily, she has a friend in fellow residential center tenant, Rosalie, and her doggo, Edward, her neighbor, and her pet. They don't know anything about Amara's true nature, but that kind of human contact allows her a sense of normalcy and the ability to have a friend and keep a low profile. Well, that profile is helped by standing financial arrangement that Amara has entered into at some point with a shadowy benefactor who requires a sample of her blood and hair every few years, delivered via a dead drop. The exchange ends with Amara receiving a waiting case of money. Our protagonist knows this is serving the needs of some sort of clinical group or scientific research organization, but the anonymity of it has worked for a long time and in places across the globe. So for Amara at this point, it's a small price to pay for not being hunted, having the monetary stability not to have to worry and to relocate every so often without having to worry. Until it no longer is a way for her to stay secure. In this first issue, interested parties, including her benefactor, converge and they attempt detaining Amara. Well, she slips back into old habits, proving that being hunted does not make her anybody's prey. And the interest of one hunting party, though, piques that of another hunting party and a more long-standing hunting party. And in issues to come, we're going to see Amara have to deal with both. So this writing team of Tom Sunigoski and Janine Atchison does a really proper job making Amara's life placid, but still interesting. That is not easily done, and I applaud their ability to cause us to wonder more about her, even though it starts off very staid, very placid. At a steady pace, they seed the storyline using small insights from the character and by exploring the mysteries of her longevity and her mentioned financial arrangement. And when the action begins, they approach it with the same sense of insight and calm, just like she would. She has been in fights before. She does not get excited. So, strong scripting from both of the writers establish Amara well and winds us into her narrative very firmly. um, it is hard to imagine our eternal heroes pulse quicken while the battles begin and she outmaneuvers and incapacitates those attempting her capture. And it's plainly not a new experience. She is not out of practice. And she also shows remarkable restraint in how she deals non lethally with the situation um, and with her would be captors, all of which adds to our appreciation of she's very cool, calm, collected, and she could be deadly, but she chooses not to be. Um, the Valerio Berzo art at first, I really thought it was going to be too sedate, kind of too boring, but it actually adds to that everyday sense of life that Amara has carefully carved out for herself, and it conveys the low key sense of action when conflicts arise. I mean, you could have like the old guard, you have people just firing weapons all over the place and just uh, making a big battle scene, and they avoid that. And I like the fact that they did. And but she still looks cool because she's very good at handling herself. She doesn't need a lot of gunfire. Now we're going to see if that approach works when Amara faces off against more violent and experienced opponents representing the big bads that we talked about. I think that's going to be coming up in future issues. The art style may not work for that. I don't know. We'll have to see. But for now, it works, setting the chessboard for a singular immortal facing off against stony hoarded forces of both faith and pharma. Um, so as a premiere, this issue it borrows many elements. I can't really say that they're making a new spoke to the wheel of immortal champions. Um, Many elements of previous tales regarding immortal heroes, from Casca, the eternal mercenary, to Highlander, are present in this, and they're not plowing a new field, but they are excavating an old ancient one in different ways. Um, those kind of with the series like Casca and the Highlander, they've concentrated on religious organizations being antagonists. We see that here, and medical concerns and conditions being interested in eternal people. We see that here. So again, this is nothing new, but the main character is. And in Soul Taker #1, Amara is so well defined that we come away hoping that if immortals did exist and there could be only one, that she would be that one. And so, for having something to say that for immortals, it's better to fade out than make a gun blazing getaway sometimes, Soul Taker #1 earns my score of a solid 7 out of 10. And I put everybody else to sleep.
Sorry, I muted myself.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
I'm,
we
I'm
we 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 kind we kind of mute ourselves as you talk because, like I said, I was hearing that same static,
Yeah.
so I was up here like, oh, maybe it was me. Then I was like, nope, it wasn't me. And then Elaine did hers, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just kept it muted until you were done.
Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, I heard it. I heard it fade out, and I thought, okay, well, good, because it wasn't distracting anymore. So, yeah,
I wonder if it was scratch. Maybe it was because it was scratching against my T-shirt.
could be. I don't know, but it's possible.
I don't know. I'm holding it now.
It's better.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's like, was it the fan? Was it scratching against the fabric of my t-shirt? I gotta wait till I can buy another set of headphones. Those book reviews, I wish I had money, or I wanna sneak out and rob Thug Boy so I can go buy all those books.
Well, we talked about this before. If you don't, if you, there's a lot of people that right now they're not able to go buy a whole new series or anything. But like we've got around here, we have Hoopla through the library where you can get electronic rentals of trade paperbacks. I don't think they do single issues, but when they put them into a TPB, those come up on Hoopla, and it's free. You have so many that you can get a month.
Ah,
And so I do that a lot with some of the things that my comic book shop doesn't get, or that I'm late on getting and I don't want to go buy a back issue or something. I'll do Hoopla and read them. So
yeah.
always an
I
option.
have Leia. I have to answer Leia. Leia, if I put it between my bazongas, you won't hear my voice.
BD.
I won't say what I was thinking.
That's what she wrote. That's what she
I know.
wrote.
I see what she wrote, but like I said, the only thing I was thinking was a Naruto type deal. It's like special ninja art, ultimate muting.
You're louder than God anyway. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now I gotta go beat up Joe because I can't walk to New York. So, and Joe's the closest one.
Why do you think I'm going to transmit a butt whooping? Why do you think that? It's like I gotta get it to transfer it over to Leia, and then after I do that, here comes Leia transferring it back to me to give to you. It's like no, there's a no-win situation in all of that. I don't get any compensation for it at all.
I'll get you a little gorilla and you can bang him against the wall. I highly recommend the next.
I just read what she said.
Yeah. Maybe I'll take a vacation next week. It'll be quieter around here, Leia, and that way you won't have to hear me as much.
Hey, one of the things I got to do over the holiday, the 4th of July, that I'll share with you guys just because it was a nice moment. I got to take my grandkids for the first time to a comic book shop.
Ooh.
And they got stacks of the free comic book day comics they still had there. They loaded them up with 2 stacks of those books. And then each of them got an action figure. Well, okay, one got an action figure, one got a doll. We'll put it that way. Asmund got his Thanos action figure with the glove that can be changed, the hand that can be changed to the Infinity Gauntlet. And Lily got, and I've been looking at this for her for a while, but they had it on sale for this weekend. So it was Mirabelle from Encanto, and she loves that movie. And I didn't know for sure she did, but this is an electronic one. She sings, it's interactive. She sings, she talks, she engages with a child. And then big day for them. We took all the stuff home, and just like I figured, my grandson looked at Thanos and saw how the glove changes and posed him and everything. I was really happy with him. Put him aside and sat down and read every book he had. Lily engaged with Mirabelle for 3 hours. And then they sent me a video of her in bed with her, still talking to her as they were getting ready to go to sleep. So they had a big day. I think it was a good comic book shop, a Mortar comic book shop experience for them. And we don't know how long, kind of like drive-ins and other things, that might not be something that they'll have as they get older. So I was happy to be able to be grandpa and give them that experience that hopefully they'll remember for a while.
Grampy Clyde is the cool grandpa.
Thank you. They did have a good time with it though. So
Grandpa doing what Grandpa does best. Cause them to behave and get free stuff.
And read. At least in
Henry.
Asmund's case, he's a really, really good reader. Now, Lily doesn't seem to be that inclined, but she's a year younger, so I'm hoping that it'll catch hold with her. But she's crafty. She likes to do crafts and hands-on things. So that just might be their two different outlooks. I don't know. Let's see.
Well, if you can
Yeah,
get her
no,
to watch,
I was just thinking interesting. Get her like how to draw comics the Marvel way and all the different little bitty comic books, like how how to draw. I think Scoop has one version of something like that in a comic book form and stuff like that. So it's like
Mhm,
since she's crafty and whatnot, it's like
mhm.
give her something like that. And be like, oh, that's how you do this, and she just goes to town like drawing and doing something
I
else.
don't know.
Crafty.
Most of her crafting is like she likes to put things together, like Legos, and she likes to have stuff to actually put together. But that could be as she gets older, maybe the artwork, maybe that'll attract her too. I don't know.
there are some interesting crafters that she might like. Does she do
Hmm.
any type of artwork, like little cards and stuff like that?
Not not too often. Sometimes, but like for Father's Day, she gave me a grandpa present of a necklace that she had put stuff together to make. It's more like
Oh,
that kind of stuff
cool.
that I see so far. Yeah, it's really cool. It's not straight up artwork yet. So I don't know. We'll see.
There are some interesting people doing stuff on YouTube. Frugal crafter Lindsay Rella does
What is it?
the Frugal Crafter. She's
Frugal
called.
crafter. Okay.
Yeah, she
Let me
does
write that down.
card stamping. She teaches watercolor painting. I learned more about Copic markers from that woman than
Okay.
I have learned because she uses them for her cards and craft making and stuff.
Hmm.
And so she has tried every watercolor and alcohol marker out there. She was one of the first people that Ohuhu sent their brush tip markers to.
Hmm.
She
Cool.
was one of the
Cool.
first artists I saw them send those markers to when they first introduced them a couple of years ago. She was one of the first one who got them.
Hmm.
So, I mean, she's probably forgotten. The only person who probably knows more about alcohol markers, live in Japan and do manga.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
She's just amazing, and she does different. She's a stamper,
Hmm.
so she does all sorts of different cards and stuff, and she stamps and puts cards together and stuff. So if stuff like that interests her, she's
Hmm.
got a crap load of videos
Okay.
that And
Fair
Michael,
enough.
she's so good at what she does. She does video tutorials for Michaels that they
Hmm.
have on their site.
Okay.
So she's really, really good. Trying to think, there's a couple of other interesting crafters out there that I'll look up if I can remember them. I'll let you know because
Okay.
I
Thank
mean
you.
you can find so much stuff, you know, um, here. In fact, if anybody's interested in drawing manga, and I got to remember to tell Donna, Mark Crilly has 2 or 3 how to draw manga books
Hmm. Okay.
out there. So, and he takes you through all the different manga styles, and this is how you do 7 lights in the eye.
Right. Right. Mm.
So he takes his book takes you through that, and also he has a ton of tutorials. I started watching his tutorials on. He was one of the first comic book artists I found on YouTube. So I was just always eating his stuff, and I love his work because he started out as a classic artist.
Hmm.
So, and he's done several videos where he's just doing classic style drawing and sketching. So you can see that this is his style, that he gained his skill
Hmm.
first and then developed the style.
Cool.
So he's really good.
I was going to mention, so we were talking a little bit about business stuff earlier. I don't know if you saw this. Comics Beat broke this yesterday, I think, but Boom Studios is going to basically they were bought out by Penguin Random House.
Oh,
Yeah, and everybody thought that would be kind of that they would switch their distributor, but apparently they're staying with Diamond. So I'm not sure if that'll last, but that was the little breaking news thing that I saw yesterday, and then the follow up today. So that's, when you have smaller companies like this Mad Cave Studios, like My Book Tonight and Boom, um, and Dark Horse, and those, they put out some good stuff that the bigger companies wouldn't touch. So I'm hoping that won't change. They're not changing any of their staff or anything. Everybody's staying on, it looks like. But I don't know what it'll mean. They have quite a few series over the years that they have put out that then Penguin Random House will have control over. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But
Well, if Penguin Random House is smart, um, they will, if some people, it's like, especially in the entertainment industry, it's like, oh, we love what you do. Now come do it our way. If
Mhm.
Penguin Random House is smart, they will see, okay, they're good at doing what they do. We can just maybe pump a little more money into them
There
so
you
that they
go.
do better and expand, but not
Mhm.
mess with it. It's one of the things I really love about Critical Role. Um, there's been a podcast and series on YouTube called Mixed. They had started out as a podcast. Guys in Critical Role heard them, these three people who do this series, and went to Travis and the rest of them and said, oh, you have to hear this. And everybody heard it and fell in love. And then they got behind them. And it was like, we're not
Ah.
going to change what will enhance what you do. We'll give you more money. So, and we'll make sure you got artists and stuff so that we can present it, make it a little slicker in presentation and whatnot. But you guys go do what you're going to do.
Mhm.
And they've had 3 very successful seasons. That story, oh my God, it's the highlight of my Wednesdays. And it's a great story. You can still find them on the Critical Role, their channel. They still have all the mixed
Mhm.
uh, episodes. It is a great story, and I have never heard an episode where I went, okay, yeah, I can be done. It's like every episode makes you go, what's going to happen next? And I love it because they when before season 3 started, a calamity happened, and as they were doing the lead-in commercials, they were naming certain characters, and one of the characters is a dog named Landlord, and they're like, yeah, Landlord, and then there's a pause, and they're like, we're unreliable narrators, not monsters. And you're like, yeah, okay, so you're not going to kill the dog. Because they're talking about, oh, wouldn't you like to know what happens to this character, and what happens to this character, and what happens to this character? And they bring up the dog. It's like, oh my God, they killed the dog. It's like, no, we're not going to kill the dog. And they have those little moments they do throughout each season that just and they have characters. Even the people you're supposed to hate, you love hating them. The crazy, there's a crazy chick whose insanity is just so delicious, you know. And when she gets her comeuppance, you're like, thank you. There is something in the universe, but it's also, I love it where they had the bad guy stay a bad guy, but they did it in such a way that I don't want to give anything away, but you're like, damn, okay, that was interesting.
Hmm.
And I love that the bad guy, there's a lot of twists. People you think are one thing turn out to be something else. Um, you find out the bad guy isn't who they think he is, and then you find out why he's the way he is, and all these things. But as they go through the wrapping up of the story, the just way they put it all together, and you're sitting there going, oh wow. Sometimes you can see things in and go, okay, I could think of a different ending. Whereas this, I was like, oh, I couldn't do this any better. This was just, it was worth going through. it was a great journey, and it was definitely worth going through it.
I hope you're right that Penguin Random House treats them that way because got good products. Yeah, just fund them so they can do bigger ones. That would yeah. From your lips to the Almighty's ears, please, please.
Well, I mean, they who owns Tor? Who owned or owns Tor?
I'm sorry.
Tor Book?
She's talking about Tor.
Oh,
I can't. I can't remember what Tor. I know is a smaller division of a bigger publishing group. In fact, Penguin was a smaller division of Random House, and I do believe they do have a sci-fi division. And they tend to just go, so long as you do, don't embarrass us with decent money, find what you're going to find, put it out there. So, I'm hoping it's a smarter group of people. Random House has always struck me as a smarter group of people in regards to the choices and whatnot that they make. So I'm hoping this will be something that will be good.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe if enough of us write to Penguin and go, please don't mess this up. We're watching you. We will make your attorneys get attorneys. Don't mess this up.
Make your attorneys get attorneys. Wow.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
Joe, I didn't check. I don't know if have you looked today to see where Brian Rodman's Kickstarter is for Memoirs of an Angel, The Gray Pilgrim.
No, I have not checked on today, but give me 1 second here.
Okay. He made his they made their benchmark.
He hit goal. I know that he hit goal, and he hit a couple.
Trying for the new stretch
right.
goals, yeah. But
the new stretch marks.
The new stretch marks, yeah.
Yeah, and
Clyde is pregnant with ideas.
I was just happy to see he made it was a pretty high goal that he had, and he made it fairly quickly with like a couple of days. So that was a good start. And of course, then you had some people that backed out, but I don't think
which typically happens across the board here.
I don't know any campaign that hasn't had a few people.
No, it's not. Why am I thinking he's still doing comics? No, that's a novel. He did a novel. He did a novel.
Illustrated novels, yeah.
It's not a graphic. It's a graphic novel or a regular novel.
I think it's a regular novel, but there's illustrations. He's got his artwork as part of it, but not as much of it as a graphic novel. Kind of like what Stormgate Press has done with our pulp things is, they have had illustrators illustrate part of the story, but not panel to panel, nothing like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking my next project when I get through the comic will probably be an illustrated novel.
Mm-hmm.
So many, at least a couple of illustrations per chapter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And because it's like it's another where it's a big story, Wakanda in space, and so it's very much a big story, and it's like, oh, this is if I'm thinking of what it's taking to put out and the coming of nighttime, and it's like, okay, that's not nearly as big a story as Heir Apparent is going to be. And it's like, oh, that would be just too many books. So it's like, just write the story and then work out the illustrations as I go along.
There he is. He's at $6,205 at 120 backers with 11 days left to go.
They hit the 6,000. That was their next their next goal. So they hit that stretch goal. That's good.
What?
I'm trying to see what his next stretch goal level is at. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Anybody out there, if you're wanting to, jump in and support Brian, he is excellent, and his stuff is good.
He was cute. Is he married?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah,
Okay. 6,500 is
okay.
for the poster. So that's this next stretch goal, 6,500.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, get
at
out there and help him. I want a poster.
So
Yeah.
that's the poster, and what 295 away, 295
Yeah.
away.
Yep. And several days left to go. I think it's to the 25th
Mm-hmm.
of July. So, you
Mhm.
know, as it ends, the San Diego Comic Con begins. So you have until then. So back this project.
Cool.
Yep. So that's where that's at here. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it positive because my mind kind of shifted to the bad news that I heard already in the news cycles have been talking about it a couple of times already
What's that?
about Shelley Duvall.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like for
Yeah.
those who grew up like me, she will forever be olive oil.
That is
That's only because I don't count The Shining, because once I found out what they did to her to get
Oh,
that movie
yeah.
done,
Yeah.
I don't recognize that movie ever again.
Mhm.
well. She also she did a series on HBO, I believe. She Sherry Duvall,
Yes.
her Tall Tales or whatever. That
Mhm.
was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
I had a couple of those videos back in the day. I videoed off the TV,
Mhm.
and we had enjoyed them. She's done some interesting things outside of The Shining and Popeye.
Yep.
No, she did a lot of stuff, but that's what she's more famous for. Everybody keeps on bringing The Shining. It's like, no, stop talking about The Shining. If you know the history about The Shining, that would not be her best role that she ever did. The best role that she ever did would have been Popeye,
Mhm.
as a result that
Well,
most people would know.
she was born to play olive oil. She was so
Yeah,
perfect for that. But no, in fact, what I was prepping today to do a positive vibes tribute to her with Shelley Duvall's Tall Tales and Legends for the end of the weekend, but to start off with Shelley Duvall's fairy tale theater that she did. So yeah, we're gonna have that in the next couple days. You'll have some stills from those shows because my
Mhm.
daughter, that was like her first exposure to a lot of fairy tales was that, and they were so cool. And look at the talent that she drew in each of those projects. You know, she would get people in here that were major stars to do
Mhm.
these HBO specials. So yeah.
yeah. Today somebody had I forgot who it was, but they posted pictures from when she did the Muppet Show.
Oh yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
You know, so and I had loved I just loved whenever she would pop up on TV. It's like, oh look, it's Shelley Duvall.
Yep, yep, yep.
She's you always have, I don't know, maybe it's different for guys, but there's always that group of individuals as you get older, you start thinking of, okay, if I could sit down and have tea with a group of people, who would I want at that tea?
Mhm,
And she has definitely made that list a couple of times. Where
mhm.
it's like, yeah, I'd
Oh.
love to sit down with Shelley Duvall and just talk. Because like I said, the tall tales and legends, the fairy tales, just the thinking, and this was and a couple of different things came out of that. I'm trying to, it wasn't her show, but because, or maybe it was, no, HBO did a show. They got Jack Nicholson to read Rudyard Kipling,
Oh, that's
and they
cool.
got him to read The Curious Elephant's Child.
Hmm.
They got him to read a few, The Curious Elephant's Child and How the Camel Got His Hump.
How the camel got it. Oh, wow.
And you haven't heard those stories until you've heard Jack Nicholson do them, because it is just so wild that they did. Because you could see, this is when I remember those shows, it's like, okay, this is what Reading Rainbow came out of.
Mhm. Yeah.
You could see they were laying the groundwork and stuff for Reading Rainbow.
Mhm.
Because it was that presentation of um, what was it? Before it became the Weirdness Channel. I can't remember the name of the channel, but they used to have this English guy, and they tried to bring him here in a movie called with Phoebe Cates called Drop Dead Fred, and it was horrible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I just got through watching that off of somebody's feed not too long ago, and it has its moments, but there was no real plot to it.
Yeah, but what brought him to their attention was he had Bravo. He had a show on Bravo
Hmm.
where he would do retelling of old Grimm's tales.
Hmm.
And they like the Three Billy Goats Gruff and the one about the little pot that keeps making the porridge and everything. He would do these great versions of these stories and his accent and stuff. That would just, I would watch him when the boys were small and we would just be cracking up, because
Mm.
he would, and they were meant for children. He would
Mhm.
do them in a way that was just ridiculous and amazing. And it's like and it makes me sad because there were so many great shows back then that you can't find them now. They're hard to find. I'm sure somebody has them. I have to check in with the AFI, though it's a TV show, so I don't know if they would care. Um, but the AFI I'm a AFI alumni,
Hmm.
and they every day you don't have to pay for it. You can just join their mailing list, and every day they send a picture from a movie. You have to guess what the movie is from that picture.
Mhm.
I'm about 55%.
Oh, that's good. Good.
But you have to sometimes, like today's picture was History of the World Part 1, and I almost messed it up, but I just happened to recognize Mel Brooks in the back standing behind the guy because it's Michelangelo did the Last Supper picture, and they're posed like the Last Supper. And it's like, and then they have all these Jesus movies listed, and then History of the World Part 1. And I almost picked one of the Jesus movies, and it was like, who is that guy behind Jesus? And I'm on my phone trying to make the picture larger. And I went, oh, that's Mel Brooks. It's History of the World Part
World
1.
Part One. Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen that movie at least 20 times. But
Mm.
but it's funny because they will sometimes they have the regular and they have the expert level, which
Ooh.
are always fun because it's always a matter of can you guess the movie? Because sometimes like Hollywood Land and a few other movies, Mulholland Drive, they're shot to look like older movies, so you might mistake them for something else. you know. But if anybody who's into, old movies, go to the AFI's website and get on their thingy and let them send you that and see how much you know or how much you're willing to learn, you
Mhm.
know. But I will admit I love old movies, because
Mm-mm.
I was born as a child born in the 60s. That's what you watched a lot on TV.
Mhm.
You got to see back in the day, they showed a lot of movies from the 40s, the 50s, the 20s.
Mhm.
I think by the time I was 10, I'd seen every Astaire Rogers film,
Mhm.
every
Mhm.
Marx Brothers. My uncles and I would like redo scenes from Marx Brothers movies because we were, psychotic.
And for our generation, a lot of times you didn't see them in reruns on television, but if you went to the early sci-fi and comic book conventions, that was the first time I saw Topper and
Oh,
Oh,
just fell in love with Topper and then went and got the movies when they came out on, video and discs because yeah, became a big Topper fan over that.
that's right. Some of the early conventions they would get a movie that you wouldn't see except on late night television.
Yep.
And they would go, oh, we're going to have a special screening. Ah,
Mhm.
you
Yep.
know, And that also made up for the fact that, maybe you couldn't get the star you were hoping for,
Mhm.
or you couldn't get enough stars to fill up a weekend because it was a lot different then.
Sure.
You might get the stars from a TV, a lot of British sci-fi shows were big back then, and they were
Mhm.
doing a lot of the conventions circuits. Blink 7
Mhm.
was big way
Yeah.
back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Well, we're at the 2 hour, 30-minute mark here. So
Oops.
do you want to continue going or you want to stop here?
I need to shut down.
All
I
right.
need to sleep.
All right. So we'll go around the room and call it a night. We're going to start with Elaine. Oops. I
You
wanted to
always,
remove that.
you always start with me. We love you. We love the fact that you come and deal with us every week. Please keep coming back. You can find me here on the show. You can also find me on YouTube, YouTube/C/Elaine Haygood. You can also find me on Facebook, Elaine Haygood. You can find me on X, at LynnCapper1, but I say angry political stuff there. You may not like me. you know. And of course, lynncaponline.com is my website. So if you can't find me anywhere else, you can always find me there. Night, guys. Bye.
And here is Clyde.
Hey, I'm Clyde Hall. I'm an elder statesman of geekery, self-proclaimed. You can follow me on Facebook at Clyde Hall or Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall. And we try to make at least one post a day through those that improves your outlook on the day, maybe gives you something to laugh at. Sometimes it's a collection of memes. Sometimes we look at different museums. Sometimes we look at different artworks. And the weekends, usually we do retro. And this week we are going to do a Shelley Duvall, looking back at Tall Tales and Legends and Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater. So you can also find me on Twitter at CJ Hall 1984. Or you can check out my Amazon authors page. It's right down here, the link. I am currently part of the online comic book review crew at comicsbeat.com or AKA The Beat. So if you were looking for comic book news and some real comics journalism, The Beat is the place to go. They are not just clickbait. They have a lot of good interviews, heads up about things that are coming up in the industry and series that you shouldn't miss out on. They do examinations of a lot of the pop culture TV shows, series, and movies that are coming out. So www.comicsbeat.com. In my spare time, I'm an independent award-winning author and a contributing writer at Stormgate Press. Their newest short story anthology is The Lost Adventures of Captain Hawkland, Volume 2. Check it out and let me know what you think about my contribution to that volume, The Archimedes Affair. I've also been published in Stormgate Press's new pulp anthologies, like the Pulp Factory award-winning series Pulp Reality, Volumes 1 through 4, as well as in Spurs and Six Shooters, Tales of the Old West, and Tim Bruckner's Major Marjorie. Another 2023 Pulp Factory Award winner in our bullpen is cover artist extraordinaire Jeffrey Hayes of Plasma Fire Graphics. In fact, this is his work behind me. This is work that he did for my Captain Hawkland story, The Banshee Barnstormer. He is amazing. And right now, you're probably thinking, how can I make the cover of my next project, whether it's a game or a book, this exciting? Well, Jeffrey Hayes can work his magic for you. And here's Joe to tell you how.
Yes, and pretty much this is how you do it. Give a gander, quick little gander at this particular video, and it pretty much lays everything out.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
And that's pretty much everything in a nutshell. If you like what you saw there, make sure you hit up Plasmafire Graphics at plasmafiregraphics.com or hit Jeffrey Hayes' Facebook group for Plasmafire Graphics. As far as for me, I will be back right here on Saturday evening at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. But until then, I bid you guys adieu. Live life, grow, and be well. And we are out of here for another week. And we'll see you right here next Thursday for Comic Book Spectrum.